We're now streaming live on YouTube, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Cabinet meeting. I am Councillor Paul Skinner, Leader of the Council and Chairman of the Cabinet. I believe we have one member of the public here who I think is recording, so that's not a problem. Right, we'll move on to part one of the agenda and preliminaries. Have I, the Cabinet, permission to sign the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of June 2021? Agreed. Agreed. Thank you very much. Are there any apologies, Jeanette?
Yes, there's apologies from Councillor Richard Austin.
Thank you very much. Does any member wish to declare interest in respect of any items on the agenda? No. Are there any questions from members of the public received 2 clear working days prior to this meeting?
There are none, Chairman.
Thank you. We'll now move on to part 2 of the agenda items. Recommendations from overview and scrutiny. Are there any recommendations from overview and scrutiny for this meeting?
There are none for this meeting, Chairman.
Thank you. Item 2. Are there any recommendations from the BTAC meeting?
No, Chairman, none for this meeting. Thank you.
That moves us on to item 3, which is policy and procedures of the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000 RIPA, which starts on page 15.
Thank you, Chairman. Hopefully you can hear me okay?
Just
okay. Well, hopefully I can convey what I need to convey. I just wanted to do a short introduction to this paper. It's fairly self-explanatory. The purpose of this report is to provide Cabinet with an opportunity to review and approve the Council's revised policy and procedures on the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000, and to be assured that it remains up to date and fit for purpose. The policy has been recently revised for 2 reasons. Firstly, in response to an inspection of both Boston Borough Council and East Lindsey District Council by the Investigatory Powers Commissioner's Office, IPCO. They're the regulatory body that ensure that district councils and other regulatory bodies are fulfilling their requirements under RIPA. And secondly, the emergence of the Strategic Alliance allowed us the opportunity to compare and contrast the RIPA policies of both councils to pull the best from both of those policies, adopt advice from the inspection following their audit, and provide effectively one policy document across the Alliance for all officers that conduct this type of work to reference. So it's a little bit of housekeeping, really, just making sure that our policies are up to date, that they reflect the current Home Office guidance relating to RIPA, and that we've got all the requisite authorising officers and senior responsible officers in place, and that reflects the current officer structure of the Alliance. So it's the recommendation before Cabinet this evening is that the revised policy and procedures on the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act, which is set out in your Appendix A in your report pack, is to be approved this evening. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Christian. I'm really pleased that we've taken the opportunity to line the 3 councils up. It certainly makes it a lot easier for the officers operating the system. It was an opportune time to update the policy anyway, which is part of our normal procedure. So are there any questions? Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, it's not a question, it's more of a comment, and it's one similar to that I made in briefing, and you've just stolen most of the thunder on. I think, it's important that we highlight to the public that not only does it make it easier for officers, but we were able to take the best bits of both policies. So not only is it easier for the officers enacting the policy, but it also means hopefully we'll be able to be far more responsive and offer a better service, which obviously is what the Alliance was all about. And it's useful for members of council or anyone else who needs to find out which officers can authorise if there's any questions that members need answering.
Thank you very much for that. I thoroughly endorse what you're saying. Sharing of best practice has got to be good for everybody in the partnership. So that's really good. Any other questions? Thank you, Jonathan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Most of my questions I asked last time when we had the briefing on the 24th. So I'm just interested, it says in the document that it does not cover all public authorities. So I wonder if you could tell us which public authorities are not covered by REPA.
I'm sorry, but I couldn't
Did you get that, Christian?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't get what Councillor Noble said.
So, which public authorities are not covered by RIPA legislation?
Are not covered.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
yes, are not covered.
In essence, public authorities that don't have enforcement responsibilities and a need to carry out directed sort of covert surveillance. So I can't think of any particular authorities, public bodies off the top of my head, but it certainly does cover district councils, county councils, the police, organisations such as the Environment Agency, HSE, any public body that has a statutory regulatory or enforcement responsibility would have to adhere to RIPA because it mitigates against the risks of infringing someone's human rights. So essentially, any public body that carries out enforcement would need to adhere to the RIPA requirements.
Thank you very much, Christian. Any further questions? In that case, I'm quite happy to propose it. Nigel, second, all in favour? Thank you very much. We then move on to item 4, which is the Q1 report. It is on page 53 of the agenda pack, and Appendix C being a separate document. What you'll find this time with this report, it is in a different format. I think it's once again we'll be sharing the same format across 3 councils. Also, our targets have been adjusted, so it's not likely to be the same. But I'm sure, I think Suzanne's present, she'll actually be able to say that we will actually be able to compare what we've got now to what we had.
Yes, that's correct. We'll be able to set a new benchmark across the Alliance and move forward together, and then the partnership after that.
Thank you, Suzanne. I'm quite sure that everybody's had a read. Are there any questions? Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, again, just for any members of the public present or watching, and it's something I questioned in briefing, is that anyone who pays attention to these will notice that we don't have the same number of measures and information in that we did previously. And I think, again, clarity is always useful. It's not the fact that we don't report it, it's just that more specific things are now reported to portfolio holders and officers within that area, and don't necessarily need to be dragged out of a meeting, but that information is still available. It's more about making sure we're reporting the right things. It wasn't just, drop everything we're doing bad on or take those out because they don't make us look bad. It is purely for making sure that actually what we're reporting in the public domain is information that the public want, maybe need, or are interested in, and allows better management at a strategic level. So I just wanted to make that point.
Thank you for that, Martin. I mean, for instance, there's quite a big section on the town deal, which will become more and more important going forward. We've got other projects in Christian's domain with land registry, migration projects. So there's lots of positive things going on, and it's only right to report progress on those things, but also keep a tab on what else is going on. Any more questions? In that case, move on to the financial bit. Jonathan, would you like to present?
Thank you very much for this. Obviously, we've got some recommendations, 5 specifically, which I'll do at the end, but I'll just give you an overview of the course for financial.
Chairman, sorry to interrupt, but I can't make out what Councillor Noble's saying, so it won't be coming over on YouTube.
Okay, whether I'm too close to the microphone or too far away, you have to tell me.
Thank
Can
you.
you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, that was clear.
Right. Okay, as we know, there was a 704,000 underspend the last financial year, which has been carried forward into this year, 21-22. Going into a COVID pressure smoothing reserve, and the present available balance in that area is actually 700,000. Let's talk about council tax. The collection rate in Q1 was 26.94% against the 26% target, so that's ahead of schedule. I can tell you now the latest figure for August is 43.65%, which equates to 16,568,000 against an annual target of over 37 million. A business rate collection rate in Q1 is 34.61% against a 30% target, and the latest figure for end of August is 40.83%, which is 7,218,000 against an annual target of 17,677,000. We have guaranteed COVID funding from the government of 546,000 and an estimated 200,000 for ministry housing, communities and local government for reclaim lost sales fees and charges. Time to process benefit change events is again ahead of target at 12.35 days, but the target is 14. Benefit processing times for new claims measured in days is below target. 22 days is target against a 10-day target, but there has been a 38% increase in the workload compared to last year, and the respective benefit systems have to be aligned, and when this happens, the SPS will be able to provide greater flexibility and resilience at peak times. We've got vehicle maintenance cost savings of £50,000 due to the operation of a new fleet of vehicles. The fair value of our property fund investment is slowly improving. There's been a gain in our property fund investment values in Q1 of 626,000. Total gross investment income for this financial year is estimated to be 914,000. Comprising 893,000 from property funds and 21,000 from cash investments. Property fund management fees for 2021 are estimated at 215,000. We haven't paid those yet. Our net average revenue return for our property fund investments in Q1 is 3.37% net. Figure is 4.44% gross. Annual interest payable on external borrowings estimated at 494,000. We have received a further funding of 224,000 from the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government to deliver rough sleeping services in Austin, part of their rough sleeper initiative. There have been some main service area variances in projected income as follows. They are leisure, building control, bereavement and parking. I just need to go to a separate sheet to explain those differentials. Right, the projected overspend and what is revenue account for 2021 to 22 is 232,000. The main variances are as follows. For leisure, there is a projected reduction in income in the region of 368,000. The Jeff Older Leisure Complex has been operating under reduced capacity due to COVID, and member fees were at reduced rates. And these are now reverted to full rates on the 1st of August. Building control, a reduction in income in the region of 65,000 is projected. This has occurred due to a late change to staffing budget. Bereavement, there's a reduction in income in the region of 106,000, was projected anyway, compared to the first quarter of last year, because there's been a reduction of cremations down from 260 to 196, and also a reduction in income from memorials. But I have to say, the new cremator is working perfectly now. Parking, yes, we've had a reduction of income. It's forecast to be 294,000. It's partly connected to decisions that we as council made, obviously, because up to and including May, we had an element of free parking in the borough. Now, I'm just going to break those costs a bit more. To give you an idea, car parking income is recovering. For example, in April, it was 25,000. In May, it was 45,000. In June, it was 59,000. And in July, 59,276. Income from permits is roughly on track. It's about 5,500 a month. Our original target for parking was obviously 75,000 per month. But given all the problems we've had, obviously with COVID and the lockdown, and people's reluctance possibly to come back into Boston, we still see lots of people wearing their masks. In fact, it's sort of like 80% of the population of people double jabbed. So we have to accept that the shopping arrangements will have changed somewhat. Now I'm going to move on to seek cabinet support for the specific finance recommendations. They are in various tables. The first one is table 5, and it's on page.
Jonathan, can we just take some questions?
Yes, of course, yes. Yeah,
Anybody?
I can take, yeah,
Nigel?
Yeah, just from a simplistic brains point of view, could you explain the programme with slippage column, what that means, please? Not being an accountant now.
That's monies that weren't spent in the last financial year that have been carried forward to this financial year.
Okay, and on paragraph 8 in the appendix that followed debt collection, it says we've got outstanding debt of 867,000. 129,000 of that is over a year, 225, I think that's 9 months to 12 months. Can we have a breakdown at the next meeting in detail of, or if we can have that sent to us so I can have a full detail of what debts are outstanding? Because 867,000 is quite a lot of our budget.
Yes, it is. Breakdown is being certainly able to provide those for you. Anybody else have any other questions?
Okay, I was a bit remiss, Jonathan. I need to ask people to note the quarterly monitoring information for quarter 1,
Yeah.
and to also to agree the approach to the risk management of 21-22.
Yeah, I think that's already been alluded to, hasn't it? When we're talking
Well, it's
about-
been alluded to, but I need to get agreement. Has everybody
Okay.
agreed?
Great.
Thank you. Right, then we need to move on to the finance recommendations. Let you go through
Yes,
those.
thank you. Right, the first one is it's table 5. I think it's on page 6. Just bear with me, please. Yes, moving to the earmark reserves. So we're being asked to approve those amendments, the earmark reserves. The explanation is given in the notes at the bottom. For example, the transfer of COVID monies to services to value of 556,000. That's the first one. So we need to approve, I'm asking you please, to approve the reserve movements as shown there in table 5. Then we go on to table, the next one is F2 to approve the updated capital programme. That's table 7 on page 8.
Can I just ask a question on
Yes,
table 7?
please, yeah.
Apologies. In year changes, we've got 170,000 for refuge vehicle. Can I have some details around where that's come from, please, and why it wasn't known at the beginning of the year?
Yes, I think I'll check. It's that for a vehicle that was scheduled for last year, but has been gone to payment for this year. But I'll check on that. So just let me know.
Yeah. So if that's the case, it should, if that was the case, then it should actually have been in the budget when we did our annual budget, as opposed to added in as in-year changes to a capital programme.
So I think the fact is, you see, because we've had additional monies that we didn't anticipate at the time when the budget was set, that's explaining that. And I will certainly find out for you.
Continue, Jonathan.
Yes, I'm just making a note of that, so turn up here. Right, then we move on to the next one, which is FB. It's the supplementary estimates on table 9 on page 8. Sorry, no problem. Yeah, table 9 on page 8, so written down. There's supplementary there. So it's just the page I've got photoscopied up. Supplementary there, additional monies since the budget was set, which was the point I was making earlier to Councillor Walton. So there's extra monies there, the Rushcliffe Initiative, 224,000, further 24,000 for additional funds, and then the verifying earnings and pensions element to it. And go to the next one, F4, which is the COVID-specific supplementary estimates, which you see there, additional funding allocations we didn't act, but we realised we were going to get there. So there's 404,000 and another 104,000 plus another 38,000. So we asked to approve those additional monies that have come into us that weren't originally anticipated. And then we need to go to F5, which is approving the procurement exemptions. So in section 12, there's a procurement exception. One is with regard to the grant funding for bus sleepers. And the second one is to do with the 30,000 arts project, the Boston Townscape Heritage Project. It's not additional funds we're looking for, they've been given, and the idea is to get that to transported arts. The 30,000 would be delegated for them to deal with. So those are the 5 recommendations you have been asked to approve.
I think Nigel's got another question. Would you like to come in, please?
Yeah, sorry, Jonathan. It's just obviously this came in before our briefing, so we didn't have a chance to informally discuss it. On page 10, refuse, it says at the time the budget was set, due to COVID-19 pressures, we didn't increase the prices. When did we authorise the prices being increased as the table below that? Was that a cabinet decision or was that individual?
So if we're my original document, the pages aren't numbered, but they are on this.
Okay, at the top we've got price file, fees and charges, yes. Refuge. So we're increasing the prices of bulky collections.
Yes.
When was that decision made to increase them charges?
Those things, I have to check.
Because if we haven't made a decision as cabinet to increase them, I can't support them being increased as just part of this paper.
Then it's up to Paul how you want to deal with that. If you want to split those, so you've got 2 recommendations there. One is to do with the Rushcliffe Initiative and the other one is to do with the bulky waste collection. So you're looking at the increases there, which are on page 10. So these are marginal increases, £90 from 18, 26 to 25.
Leader, can I ask, is the portfolio holder for refuge aware of the increases? Because if
sorry, thought you could hear that. No, that's all. Thank you.
Martin.
Yeah, I also scribbled around that bit because I was a bit confused, especially because at the minute we're trialling free bulky waste collection, and hopefully, that the cost of that will be mitigated by the reduced cost of collecting fly tips. So that bit may be irrelevant anyway. So I'd sooner not, especially without a proper discussion, agree just blanket to increase the prices, and then take the flak when it's something we're hoping to remove anyway. So might I propose an amendment to Jonathan's recommendations that we accept all recommendations as per Councillor Noble's description, with the exception of F3 that removes that the increases in bulky waste collection prices above those approved in the budget be approved. So essentially everything bar the bulky waste stuff.
So just for clarification, if I may, so you're happy with the supplement adjustments in respect of the last initiative? So you just need to split F3, yes? And delete bulky waste collection prices until we have further discussion. I'm very happy with that.
I'll second that, as I was going to move it. But thank you very much, Councillor Griggs.
Obviously, we're quite happy to receive some explanation and it to come back another time.
Yes, thank you.
Obviously, Debbie, you can look into that and bring it back to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be a lot more comfortable with that.
Mr. Chairman, I suggest that rather than delete, then that element is deferred, and then you don't lose it from the papers, but it can be deferred for further discussion and perhaps come to the next cabinet if required to do so.
That's what I was intending, actually. Are we happy to defer that to next cabinet?
So we approve the first sentence and defer the second sentence.
Great.
I'm happy with that.
So, sorry, to be clear, so you have had the discussion with the local officer about bulky waste increasing these prices?
I've had lots of discussion about bulky waste, but not on any price increase whatsoever. Can you tell me which officer?
Can we leave that time?
Can we? So we have it moved. We have an amendment. It's moved. It's been seconded. Are we all in favour? Yes. Thank you very much. It's clearly carried, and that, I believe, leads us to the end